Do you have any thoughts on the danger of extreme cognitive rigidity and the importance of mental flexibility in life through your wide, rich, diverse experiences?
Yeah, great question. I do. I have a number of thoughts about it. Part of what distresses me, not just as a former president, it distressed me greatly when I was an active president, but also as a psychologist, are students that come to a college or a university and immediately seek out only those connections that are consistent with their perspective. And so rather than expand their perspective, they become more and more isolated. And I think that really limits their opportunity to learn. I think it limits their opportunity to grow. I think it limits their opportunity to be successful. And you see that more and more today outside of college and university life. You see that in society as a whole. I mean, we are very fragmented. We are very divided. And we seem to only go to places to listen to our perspective that affirms what we already think we know, instead of expanding our perspective and trying to develop and grow. I think it's a very dangerous thing. I mean, I think you can see that in American politics today. You can see it globally as well. It is an area of deep concern for me personally. I think for a lot of people in this country today.
Yeah, I always joke about, because my background is a former policymaker, and I jokingly say that the two reasons why American and global politics are burning down is because of rigidity and fear. And fear that could be insecurities, trauma, unintended emotional issues, and so on. But I do view those as like primary factors as to why everything is happening around us every single day.
Yeah, and frankly, one of the things that certainly fuels fear and detachment from the perspective of others, it's easy to be afraid of people that you don't know. It's easy to be afraid of people that you don't understand. And certainly American politics and arguably global politics today fuels that kind of detachment, that kind of separation.
I have a quote by Maya Angelou. I mean, she is one of the most ubiquitously attributable figures, so that it might be misquoted, but I would love to share this with you if you have any thoughts. She said, well, allegedly she said that tribalism, by definition, means that you are connected and rooted in a tribe. Therefore, tribalism requires otherism. Like without the perceived enemies or others, tribalism by nature fundamentally cannot exist. Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think interesting, the idea that somehow we've equated tribalism to conflict. And I think that certainly, to some degree, her quote reflects the tribalism in and of itself is not the issue, but it's the perspective that anyone with a different opinion, a different perspective is somehow an enemy and somehow an opposition to the perspective that you or I or someone else might have. That's a part of what has been fueled very effectively in American politics over the course of the last decade. And it's unique. I mean, I don't know that it's ever been this intense. Now, part of the intensity is driven by technology. I think it's driven by access to information and the capacity to limit your access to information to only the information sources that you want to hear from. And that is unique. I mean, that is something that really has changed over the course of the last 5 to 8 years, is the capacity to listen to only what you want to listen to. And, certainly news has not always been that way, but it certainly has developed very precisely into little tribal entities about political perspective, social perspective. All of that is counterproductive for democracy, a deep concern. I used to be very active politically when I was younger, and it wasn't as divided and wasn't as hostile and certainly wasn't as aggressive as it is today.
Yeah, I think your response reminds me of Bon Jovi's quote, or I think it's one of his song lyrics. He says, "The more things change, the more things stay the same." And I think a lot of people forget that, right? Hey, yes, you, to all my fellow introspective thinkers, thank you for being curious. If you enjoyed watching this short clip, I recommend clicking here for the full-length video. Here's to discovering more authentic life stories, mental health insights, and toolkits. Let's get this started. Peace.